What's going on, guys? It's Cliffy here. As we can see, we have been selected for the Australian National Cricket Cup for Tasmania. Basically, that is the one-day competition. Before we go and get any further in this video, guys, remember to smash that thumbs up button. Let's aim for 100 likes on this video. This one's going to be slightly different. It's going to be kind of a bit more similar to my older ones where I go and actually talk through what is happening in the world of cricket, but there is still going to be some editing involved. So I hope you guys enjoy, and let's go and get straight into the game. Alright guys, so we're coming into bat. I wouldn't say in a difficult situation. Runs already on the board, and we've got just under 9 overs left to go with the bat. We actually haven't faced, that was quite surprising. We actually faced didn't face 2 overs on the trot. But Jackson Bird is in now, and we'll be looking to go and try and push this score kind of, I guess, up towards, you know, somewhere around the 270, 280, I think, will be somewhat above par. But anyway, what has been happening in the world of cricket? You guys have missed this, so we've gone and brought it back, and hopefully it will give us a good opportunity to get those views and get these subscribers back. So the first thing I'm going to talk about, obviously there are a few players in these two teams. Actually, yeah, no, there must be. Matty Wade, for one. Players in this team, in these two teams, sorry, that have been participating in the recent test series of Australia taking on Pakistan. Now, this game here, Australia completely outplayed the Pakis in the first test, no doubt about it. Come to the second test, really should have been a draw. There was only 3 days worth of play. Australia somehow managed to sneak an innings victory, and then just yesterday they were able to wrap up the series 3-0. Now, this, I believe, is Pakistan's 4th series in a row. Oh, is that going to be a catch? Surely not. Surely that's come off the arm or something. But this is the 4th series in a row in Australia that Pakistan have lost. So they've lost 12 tests in a row, which is very, very surprising given the talent and the quality that this Pakistan team does possess. For them not to be able to go and get up, you know, I would say that they've competed in a lot of the games, but, you know, to not get up and go close to probably winning, you know, is very disappointing. Not only for the team, but for the Pakistani supporters as well, because it has been a very good 12 to 18 months for them as they have gone basically and headed up towards, I guess, the top of the test rankings. They were #1 for quite a wee while there. Now, there is a lot of talk that possibly Misbah-ul-Haq is going to retire now. He said that there's a one-day series going on, which I'm not 100% sure if he is actually playing in or not. But he said there's that. There's a Pakistani Super League as well that's coming up that he will go and mull over his test future, whether he is going to play. Another one in that boat is Yunus Khan. He is getting on, I believe, 39 years of age now. So, you know, not obviously young chickens, but if they can still contribute as they have in this series. Obviously, Yunus Khan in at the 3rd test with a big 100. I think about 175 not out he got in the first innings of the 3rd test. So still showing that he can handle it on the international stage. I believe he is now also the only player in test history who has scored a test match 100 at all. Oh, Cliff, what is that? That's terrible. A test 100 in all 11 test match playing nations that have hosted. Obviously, the 10 test playing nations and then the UAE, just due to the fact of the security issues that are going on in Pakistan. But so that is what's happened there. The one-day squad, I believe, has been named for the Australians. A few surprises. Aaron Finch and George Bailey have been dropped. Usman Khawaja has come back in, so I'm guessing he's probably going to open the innings. Glenn Maxwell's back in. A lot of people have been saying that, you know, Maxie needs to be in the team, obviously. Just such a match winner and just that X factor that can go and obviously win a game for the Australians. Johnny Hastings, if you're going to continue to bowl these short balls, mate, I'm going to continue to put you away through backward point for another boundary. So he's back in. Chris Lynn gets the ODI call-up. That is an absolute no-brainer. He has been absolutely smashing it for the Heat in the Big Bash League. So yeah, I think to not take Chris Lynn would have just been very, very poor. And I think there's also another player, I think Stickety, who is, I believe, playing for the Heat in the Big Bash. He's been pretty good. He has been called up. So he is in for his maiden one-day series, I guess you would say. And apart from that, the squad is pretty similar. As I said, Finch and Bailey being dropped, Steketee and Lynn making their ODI, well, possibly making their ODI debuts if they do get a game. Glenn Maxwell back in the side as well. So we finished with 18 off 11. Jackson Bird, 48 off 42. And as we get into the bowling side of things, we're going to talk about the New Zealand and Bangladesh series, which has been going on here in New Zealand. We're going to talk about the Super Smash, which just finished yesterday. And we are going to talk about a few other things as well. So make sure you tune in for the bowling innings. Hopefully we can, get a few runs. 267. Will it be enough? We will find out in just a second. Alright guys, so we're back into the bowling innings. Things pretty level at the moment here. Finchy and Cam White in, so two very, very good players. We'll be hoping to go and try and nick one of them out. What you have done first ball. See you later, Finchy. I think we got him in the first class game as well. But first ball, Cliff comes in and it's a nice catch for Xavier Doherty there in the gully. Victoria now 81 for 3, and that is a big, big wicket to go and get Finchy just like that. That is the perfect start. We couldn't have asked for much better than that. But as I said, we were going to talk about just how things were going around the world. I'm not sure. This field looks different to the one I just had, but that's all right. So New Zealand and Bangladesh, they've been playing through a one-day series and a T20 series. So New Zealand won the one-dayers 3-0. It was pretty, again, there were a few areas that could be improved on. It was good to see Lockie Ferguson in. He was bowling quick. I think really started to develop and I guess make a name for himself on the international circuit. If you remember, he did play against Australia in the Chapel Hadley series and wasn't very successful whatsoever. However, he has now gone, really worked on a bit of a Yorker. He's worked on a slow ball, which is very effective, especially when you bowl that pace. The one thing now a lot of New Zealanders will want to see is his conditioning increase, because when he bowls in one-day internationals, he will bowl his first 4 overs very, very quick, like mid-140s to low 150s. So he's definitely a guy that can go and bowl that heat. But when he comes in for his second spell, when he's bowled his 4 or 5 overs first up, he comes back, his speed drops drastically, and it goes down to, like 130s, possibly a very, very low 140s for a bit of an effort ball. But as a New Zealander and as a New Zealand cricket fan, we really want someone who can go and maintain that 150k pace or that high 140s throughout the innings, because that is just going to make it easier. It's going to allow Trent Boult and Tim Southee to become better bowlers, I believe. And this was shown in the World Cup when Adam Milne was playing. And even though Milne didn't pick up many wickets, Tim Southee and Trent Boult picked up a lot just because of having that support bowler in there, bowling with some very, very good heat. And I don't know why they keep going to the bowler's end. I don't want any overthrows here because we've started off very, very well. But coming out of that T20 series, it hasn't finished quite yet. The third and final. We got there eventually. The third and final T20 International. God, my words are all over the place today. Is today. So when you guys see this video, it will actually be done and dusted already. There's another outside edge, and Cammy White goes this time, and the outswing is working good for us today, boys. Xavier Doherty takes his second catch of the game. Cliff gets his second wicket, and all of a sudden, Victoria are in a spot of bother. They were 2 for 81 when we came in, now 4 for 88. So we are definitely going and getting the job done at the moment. We're going to continue with this outswing because it's worked brilliantly for us. But back to that series. Obviously, Guptill, for those who don't know, got injured, I think it was the last one-day international. So we've been without his services, which is a huge loss. And the thing really, I guess, to come out of the series, the thing that is been very good, is that even without Guptill, we can still go and have that power in the top order. And the second T20 international, which was not yesterday, but the day before, so I think that's Friday, Colin Munro hit 100. He hit, I think it was 101 off about 53 at the end of the day. But nonetheless, a very, very good ton. And very timely as well, because things, I wouldn't say we're in a bit of a dire situation. We lost Luke Ronke first ball, which was a shame. And another good thing to come out this series is the emergence of young Tom Bruce from Central Districts. And just his second T20 international, hit a very, very mature 50. He was in, had a good partnership with Munro. And when Munro was in, he was just doing, you wouldn't think that he was a guy who was playing just his second T20 international. He was going and rotating the strike. He was putting away the bad ball, but Munro was just on fire and he was feeding him the strike, which is something you would expect from a very, very mature and very experienced player. So exciting times for him. He was run out in the first game by captain Kane Williamson, which is a bit of a shame, but he really showed, I guess, his quality and his class, which is what he's done for Central Districts in the Super Smash, which we will get into now. So for those who don't know, the McDonald's Super Smash is basically New Zealand's version, shall we say, of the Big Bash League. Obviously not as good. The quality is still there, but we don't have, I guess, the depth that Australia have. Still some very, very good games, very quality games. I actually went to one, I think, on Monday, and it was very good. Canterbury Kings and the Northern Knights. And the Kings from Canterbury getting up there just in the end, which actually allowed them to go and get into the Eliminator, which they played against Wellington, who are the champs. We will get into that in a second. But played the Eliminator, just never really got going, never really had enough. So then on yesterday, that doesn't make sense, but yesterday was the final. Played at Pukakura Park. For those who haven't seen Pukakura Park, it is an absolutely amazing cricket ground. Very small cricket ground, don't get me wrong, but very amazing. I definitely recommend going and heading onto YouTube after you watch this video, or even going onto Google and just looking for some images of Pukakura Park. As I said, very small, but a very, very nice cricket ground. It must be very nice, not only to play it, but to spectate as well. It's a ground that I've never been to, but it does look very, very nice and very appealing. So definitely go and check that out. But the final was played there. Everyone was betting on the Stags. The Stags have been the form team of the competition. I think they only lost twice out of their 10 games, so they were just on absolute fire. Oh, just like I thought we almost had another bit of magic there. I thought Doherty was possibly in for his third catch of the innings. He's been very, very lively there. And if he got another one, I would have been very, very pleased. I can't even remember what I was saying. But yeah, everyone had money on Central Districts winning that game. Like as I said, they were the form team. Mahala J. Warden is playing for him. He's their overseas pro. They've done very, very well. They haven't lost many players to the Black Caps international duty, which is always good. They did lose Tom Bruce, obviously, but apart from that, the majority of their side has managed to stay afloat and stay together throughout the duration of the competition, which is different to other teams who have lost players to international duties, which can, disturb the balance of the side and really test the squad depth. But they did a very, very good job of going and getting just getting, where they did, and obviously finishing as the minor premiers. They didn't have to go and play through the Eliminator, and they did get to host the final as well. Now, the Firebirds coming into this, I think the Firebirds actually lost their first 4 games. So with 6 games left to go, the Firebirds were nowhere near looking like they were going to get into the final. They won their next 6, won them comfortably, managed to finish second on the table, so they hosted the Eliminator final against Canterbury. As I said, they did win that, so went into the final. A lot of people were betting against Wellington, just due to the fact that their squad was very, very experienced and quite old. A lot of people were saying that, the grandpa squad basically just wouldn't go and get the job done, which is a bit of a shame because they do still have some very, very good players in there. Obviously, Grant Elliott, very experienced. Michael Paps, which not a lot of people outside of New Zealand will know, but he is a very, very good player. Tom Blundell, who's actually, well, he will be making his debut. He would have made his debut by the time you guys see this video. The young wicketkeeper batsman from there. They've got Brent Arnell, Jeetan Patel, Hamish Bennett, who's a former Canterbury boy. So they do have stacks and stacks of quality. Michael Pollard's another one. He's had a good Super Smash. And yeah, no one really picked them to go and get very far in the competition. But they went and got the job done. The grandpa squad, the experienced squad, whatever you want to call them, I think they had an average age close to about 30. Like just thinking off the top of my head, Michael Paps is 37, Grant Elliott's 37. They had Hamish Marshall that was playing for them, captaining them. He would be in his late 30s as well. So they really did do a good job to, I guess... Oh! What a catch! We'll get back to that in just a second, but what a catch. Hanscom goes, Doherty again! The ball is just following Xavier Doherty around like something wicked. He's picked up his 3rd catch off me, and he is on absolute fire. Matty Wade, who's made Nice Gary famous, coming into the crease now. But wow, I'm really happy with how things are going. Going to change the field again because I think this field's pretty good. We've got a deep third man, so if anything is hit away on that offside, we can go and cut it off and not allow it to go for a boundary. We've done a very good job to date so far. But yeah, Hamish Marshall, as I said, he is getting up there. They've done a really good job, the Firebirds, of having both the experience and the youth. I believe they actually got rid of their international players after they lost those 4 games on the trot. I don't know if that's carried. I don't think it has. A little inside edge from Matty Wade, but didn't carry through to T-Pain, which is a shame. That would have been our 4th, and what a start that would have been. But yeah, got rid of their international players after like 4 games when they were 0-4. And since then, obviously done very, very well. They came back and they are the champions. So well done to the Wellington Firebirds for picking that up. So that means that T20 cricket here in New Zealand is basically all done and dusted, which you know is a bit of a shame. It is always good, but we've got the first class and the one-day games about to start back up again. And that is basically most of the stuff I have to talk about. That one slashed away from Matty Wade. If only we had a man there. Doherty, where were you? I needed you. First of all, to keep it to it would have been a double wicket made it, but second of all, even just to keep it to a dot ball. But we've done very well so far. We've done extremely well on debut in this one-day competition. Then I do have another thing I'm going to talk about, and it's something that probably is going to be discussed quite a lot around the world of cricket lately, and that is a lot of South African players. Now, I don't know a whole lot about how this all works, but from what I've heard, it's called the Kolpak deal, I believe, and essentially what it is that players... Oh! Pattinson goes, you beauty, you ripper. But back to that South African thing. Basically, from what I understand, is that players that are in the European Union or something like that, or associates with the European Union, which South Africa are, basically, well, I think South Africa actually have a free trade agreement or a free trade treaty or something like that with them. Essentially what it means is that you can sign players and they won't count as overseas players, for example. So I think this is the same as like the Netherlands. I think because they are part of the UE, that basically players like Tenduscarter and Tommy Cooper and stuff like that, you know, could go and play for English county sides and it wouldn't class as one of their overseas players, even though they are foreign. Now, the catch for this is that basically when they have signed that deal is that they can't go back and play for the national side. So off the top of my head at the moment, the only 2 who have gone... Don't tell me this... Oh my god. Overthrows kill me in this game. They give me a bloody heart attack, I tell you. But basically what it means, the only 2 players who have gone at the moment is Kyle Abbott and Riley Rousseau. Basically what it means is that when their Kolpak deals are active, is that they cannot go and represent their national teams. They can't go and represent South Africa. Now, there are many reasons that apparently this has been done by these 2 players, and there may be a few others that are going to follow suit. But essentially what it is that Kyle Abbott and Riley Rousseau, when the South African team is fit, they feel as though they aren't going to go and get a game. And I think Kyle Abbott actually said himself that basically he would prefer to have a solid income for 4 years. Like, it's not all about the money for him, but he said a solid income and job security for those 4 years that he's signed his Kolpak deal for, rather than going and being like a drinks boy. Because basically, if you look at the South African attack, Kyle Abbott is a very, very good bowler, don't get me wrong. But if you look at the South African attack, when they're all fully fit, you've got Philander, you've got Steyn, you've got Morne Morkel, you've got Rabada. You know, those 4 guys are probably your top 4 seamers. I mean, Morne Morkel's being kept out of the side at the moment by Rabada, who I think is probably one of the better players that is coming through at the moment. Knocked him over! Knocked Johnny Hastings over, and I think that's our 5 for boys. That one there just did I must have just done a little bit off the pitch. But we are now 5 for 17 and absolutely rocking and rolling at the moment, boys. But essentially that's what it is. So it is sad for South African cricket that they are going to use a player, you know, of Kyle Abbott's ability. But he was just obviously looking out for himself. And I think he said in an interview, I was reading in an interview somewhere online, is that basically he looked forward towards the future. And he said to himself, you know, come 2019, am I going to be playing in the World Cup? And he thought to himself, you know what, I'm probably not going to be playing in the World Cup. He's not going to get that many tests, he believed, if obviously those 4 quick bowlers that I did name are fully fit. So, I mean, you know, good on him and going and doing that. It is a huge loss for South African cricket. But obviously he's going and looking after himself, his family. I'm not sure, you know, of the situations. And I think Riley Russo is in a bit of a similar situation. I'm not going to get into, you know, what other people have said, obviously about the quota system that's going into South Africa. I just don't want to discuss that. That's an issue that probably is a little bit too personal for me, and I don't want to go and really ruffle any feathers, so I'm not going to touch that. But it is a real shame that those players are going. I think there's possibly someone else who was looking at going, and I can't remember who it was, but there was someone else who was looking to do something similar. And a lot of these English counties are looking to snap up these players quick smart, because with obviously the Brexit that happened, I think last year, middle of last year, you know, Britain might not be part of that UE for much longer. So essentially what that means is that they are running out of time, potentially, to do these deals and get these players, you know, these international overseas players counting as domestic players for them. And I mean, good on them. If you can go and do that, you know, very well done. If you can get a player like Kyle Abbott and play him as a domestic player in your team, you'd be absolutely stoked, because it means that you can have another international player as well. And essentially, you know, you have two international players, which, best of both worlds, I guess. Big Bash League, which is going on, that is, I think it's at about the halfway stage. It might actually even be a bit further than that. But we've seen early frontrunners, Brisbane Heat. How will they perform without Chris Lynn now? That he's been called up to the one-day side for the Australians. Will be interesting to see. Maybe McCullum just goes and takes over a little bit more than he has already. He's been very dominant for this Brisbane Heat batting lineup. Scorchers, again, they're up there, as you expect year in, year out. But again, they're going to potentially lose a few players. I know they've lost Mitchell Marsh for a fact, and he's been in very good form. I don't know quite with the bat. No, sorry, with the ball, but he's definitely been in form with the bat. He's been smashing it to all parts, so he'll be a huge loss. The Hurricanes, I'm not quite too sure what's going on with them. You know, just doing their usual thing, season in, season out, and just struggling just a touch. That one there's flicked away, so we're not going to pick up 6 for, but we are going to get 5, I think, for about 28. So that's very good figures on debut in this one-day competition for Cliff. To back that up with that 18 off just 11 deliveries, and we would have to go close to picking up man of the match in this game. Doherty gets the last wicket. Tasmania win by 41 runs, and as we can see there, on debut, Cliff getting man of the match. We didn't make it onto the batting charts, but 18 off 11, 5 for 28 is absolutely outstanding, and I am going to finish things up here, guys. Do hope you've enjoyed this video. Until next time, this is Cliffy, your king of career mode and New Zealand's #1 source of Don Bradman cricket content, signing out.